The scariest weapon you've never seen, 𝐬𝐵 explained. Imagine waking up one morning, looking out at your city, and everything electrical is dead. No phones, no computers, no lights, no petrol pump, no traffic lights, silence, darkness, chaos. And it all came from something you've almost never heard of, the terrifying power of the electromagnetic pulse, the weapon you didn't see coming. Understanding the invisible threat. In today's hyper-connected world, almost everything we rely on, from smartphones and cars to hospitals and satellites, depends on electronics. But imagine a force powerful enough to knock all of it out in an instant without a single explosion or visible sign. That's the terrifying reality of an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. Unlike traditional weapons that destroy physically, an EMP attacks the invisible lifeblood of modern life, electricity and communication. It can come from natural sources like solar storms or be deliberately created as a weapon capable of disabling entire power grids, military systems, and everyday devices. In this video, we'll explore what an EMP is, how it works, and why experts call it one of the most unpredictable threats of the modern age. A weapon that could send even the most advanced societies back to the pre-electric era in seconds. How an EMP can cripple our modern world. While an EMP might sound like science fiction, it's a very real phenomenon studied by militaries and scientists around the world. A powerful EMP can be caused by a nuclear explosion high in the atmosphere or by specialized non-nuclear devices designed to emit intense electromagnetic waves. These waves can overload circuits, fry transformers, and cripple entire regions' electrical infrastructure. Even solar storms, natural bursts of energy from the sun, have caused smaller-scale EMP effects on Earth, disrupting satellites and communications. What makes this weapon so frightening is its invisibility and speed. It strikes without warning, leaving no crater or debris, just a silent collapse of technology. Understanding EMPs isn't about fear, it's about realizing how fragile our modern systems truly are. What is an EMP, really? Let's break it down so it's easy to follow, but still chilling. The basics of the burst. An EMP is a sudden burst of electromagnetic energy, an abrupt wave of electric and magnetic fields. It can come from natural causes, like a solar storm, or be deliberately caused by weapons. What matters? It's short, powerful, and it blasts electronics without ever touching flesh. Think of it as a silent grenade for our modern world. How it works, step by step. In one version, the nuclear type, a high-altitude explosion emits gamma rays which knock electrons off air molecules. Those free electrons are accelerated by Earth's magnetic field, creating giant electric and magnetic fields, which send a wave across huge distances. When that wave hits devices, power systems, or circuits, unprotected electronics get zapped by surges, induced currents, and sudden voltage spikes. Types and scales. Natural, for example, lightning, coronal mass ejections from the sun. Man-made, nuclear bursts at altitude, sometimes called HEMP, high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, or non-nuclear weapons designed specifically to emit EMP. Small-scale versus massive. Some EMPs may just jam or disable electronics momentarily, others could wipe entire grids. Why it's the scariest weapon you've never seen. Here's where it gets real. Invisible, silent, omnipresent. No missile trails, no visible blast wave. Just a wave of energy you don't see until everything stops working. That stealth makes it terrifying. Targets, everything we rely on. Modern life is built on electronics, from your car's ignition to hospital machines to the power grid. An EMP doesn't kill people directly, in most cases, but it can knock out the systems that keep society running. For example, a high-altitude burst could damage communications, vehicles, power infrastructure, turning everyday tools into useless metal. A weapon of mass disruption, not mass destruction. This isn't about blowing up buildings, though that could happen indirect. It's about collapsing the technological backbone. In effect, the building stands, but everything inside it, all connected systems, are done. It escalates quickly. Once the grid goes down, communications fail, supply lines break, banking systems go offline, hospitals lose life support. Chaos doesn't take hours. It can begin almost immediately. And because the trigger is tiny, a burst high above the atmosphere, or a specialized device, it's harder to anticipate than a missile launch. A dive into weaponized EMP. Let's peel the hood off how EMPs are built and used. High-altitude nuclear EMP, 𝐻EMP. In 1962, the test known as Starfish Prime detonated 400 kilometers above Earth and caused unexpected electrical disruptions over 1,450 kilometers away. Streetlights in Hawaii went out. Explanation: gamma rays, ionized atmosphere, free electrons, Earth's magnetic field, massive pulse. This shows the scale. One bomb above the atmosphere, no blast on ground, yet huge electronic damage far away. Non-nuclear EMP weapons, E-bombs. These use technology such as flux compression generators, FCG, or high-power microwaves to create EMPs without nuclear explosions. Though the range is more limited than a HEMP, they're more tactical. Disable vehicles, electronics in a specific area. These weapons make the threat more accessible, less dramatic than a mushroom cloud, yet very dangerous. Why it's militarily attractive. No mass casualties required. You can neutralize a country's infrastructure rather than wage full-scale war. Denial of warfighting capability. Communications, GPS, targeting, vehicles, all go silent. Hard to defend fully. While some shielding and protections exist, the magnitude and stealth of the attack make complete defense very hard. Real-life implications for society. What happens if such an attack hits our everyday world? The grid and infrastructure. An EMP attack could take down power lines, transformers, communications towers. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, warns that unprotected systems could be disabled at local, regional, or continental scale. Without power, hospitals, traffic control, water supply, banking all vulnerable. Vehicles and transport. Modern vehicles have electronic control units. An intense EMP can disable or severely hamper their systems. Air travel, shipping, rail, all could pause. Everyday electronics, phones, computers, communication networks. Even if your device survives, if towers and infrastructure don't, it's useless. Also, sensitive devices may burn out. Society at large. If infrastructure fails, the knock-on effects include shortages of fuel, food distribution halt, breakdown of law and order. In short, civilization killer. That's not hyperbole. Can we protect ourselves? Yes, but it's complicated and not foolproof. Shielding and hardening. Military equipment and some critical infrastructure can be EMP hardened. Faraday cages, surge protectors, physical isolation. But it requires planning, money, coordination, government and private sector role. Some governments are pushing to harden grids and prepare contingency plans. For example, the US has considered a sort of EMP Manhattan project. But globally, many systems remain vulnerable. Personal preparedness. For individuals, having backup power, older analog devices, offline communication plans can help, but they aren't a complete solution for a full-scale event. Why you should care? Because we live in a wired world. Everyone uses electronics. Vulnerability becomes universal. Because the risk is not just theoretical. Natural analogs already exist, solar storms, and deliberate attacks are possible. Because it shifts the idea of warfare, from bombs and bullets to something silent and invisible. Because technology makes us strong, but in this case, it also makes us fragile. Now that you've seen it, the scariest weapon you've never seen, ask yourself, if the lights went out tomorrow, how ready would we really be? If the flow of data, communication, power stopped, could we survive the silent shockwave? If you found this eye-opening, smash that subscribe button and share this with someone who needs to know, because knowledge is the first defense. Next video, we dive into how one city protects itself from EMPs and what you can do to be better prepared. Stay curious, stay vigilant.